We begin with today's explosive hearing on Capitol Hill, where three high-level State Department officials, now collectively known as the Benghazi Whistleblowers, testified before the House Oversight Committee. Now, their message to lawmakers was very powerful, and it was emotional. And it helped confirm once and for all that in the wake of that terrorist attack, the Obama administration engaged in a widespread national security cover-up, and it was all done simply to ensure that President Obama was reelected. Now, because you probably were not able to watch all 7+ hours of today's hearings, well, we did it for you. We put together all of the highlights. Let's start with a quick look.
Our goal in this investigation is to get answers, because their families deserve answers.
I am a career public servant. Until the aftermath of Benghazi, I loved every day of my job.
Do you believe you were kept out for political reasons? This quote makes it...
I do not politicize my job, Madam.
Was there any awareness that it was the events occurred because of a YouTube video?
The YouTube video was a non-event in Libya. The only report that our mission made through every channel was that there had been an attack on a consulate.
Not a protest?
No protest.
There was never an attempt to actually get these military aircraft over there.
Fast forward, Mr. Hicks, to the Sunday talk shows and Ambassador Susan Rice. She blamed this attack on a video. In fact, she did it 5 different times. What was your reaction to that?
I was stunned. My jaw dropped, and I was embarrassed.
Did she talk to you before she went on the 5 Sunday talk shows?
No, sir.
You were the highest-ranking official in Libya at the time, correct?
Yes, sir.
And she did not bother to have a conversation with you before she went on national television?
No, sir.
When Ambassador Stevens talked to you, perhaps minutes before he died, as a dying declaration, what precisely did he say to you?
He said, Greg, we're under attack.
Did he mention one word about a protest or a demonstration?
No, sir, he did not. At about 3 a.m., I received a call from the Prime Minister of Libya. I think it's the saddest phone call I've ever had in my life. He told me that Ambassador Stevens had passed away.
Benghazi happened a long time ago.
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
I think this is probably the 9th or so hearing that the House has had on this issue. So maybe it's time we start looking at how we make sure we protect our embassies the very best way we can, rather than kind of going through and rehashing some of the same old stories.
Incredible testimony. Now, earlier, the White House was asked to react to today's hearing. Let's take a look at this.
It is our view, and it is a simple fact, that from the early hours of the attack, there have been attempts by the Republicans to politicize what was a tragic attack on our facility in Benghazi that led to the deaths of 4 Americans, including our ambassador to Libya.
Congressman Chaffetz, let me start with you. There's 3 components here. We know that they were denied the additional security they requested. That's number 1. Yeah. Number 2, we learned from the people there that YouTube was a non-event issue here. There was no protest, no spontaneous protest, and that was the spin that we got after. And then when he heard, you know, about Susan Rice's testimony, I was stunned. My jaw dropped. I was embarrassed when she blamed the YouTube video. What do you make of what happened today?
You know, we had 3 people who did a very difficult thing, but a very honorable and patriotic thing is they stepped up. These aren't political appointees. These are people that have a combined service of nearly 75 years, Foreign Service, Marine Corps, all types of service, and they stepped up and they told the truth. And that's what makes the White House so nervous. That's what has a lot of people running. And when he says his jaw dropped, there are a lot of ramifications for telling these lies. I mean, they testified that one of the reasons we couldn't get the FBI in there for 18 days is the fact that we embarrassed the president of Libya, who had gone to Benghazi and at his own political peril said that this was a terrorist type of event. and yet Susan Rice undercut that and diminished that, and it impeded our ability to catch the terrorists who did this. They're still on the run, and there are still 4 dead Americans who don't have the truth about what really happened.
So, Congressman Gowdy, what are the American people? What are they to conclude here? You had a great line of questioning here. They never talked to Mr. Hicks before they went on these shows. We know that the talking points originally got it right before they got it wrong, that they were altered. I mean, do you believe that the American people were purposely deceived and lied to cover up something before an election?
Oh, there's no question. Anyone sitting in that committee room today would draw that same conclusion, that there was a concerted effort shortly after Benghazi to protect the president's reelection bid, and right now there's a concerted effort to insulate and protect Secretary Clinton. For once, Congress did its job today. It's our job to provide oversight. There's no statute of limitations when it comes to the truth, and the least we can do for our 4 murdered fellow Americans who were serving in our stead under our flag is to find out exactly what happened. And we took a big step today, but Sean, today is just one step. We need to have more hearings with more firsthand eyewitness accounts.
Well, when you look at the before, no security that was requested, granted, when you look at the middle, troops that were ready to go and help were told to stand down, we learned today, Congressman Chaffetz. And then the after, a concerted effort to lie and cover up. I mean, of those 3 aspects, what's the worst to you?
Well, to hear the fact that we had 4 special forces there on the ground in Libya, ready to risk their lives. They wanted to get in the fight. Their fellow Americans were under attack. They were being killed. And these brave people had their guns. They were ready to go. They were getting in the convoy. And then word came down and said you had to stand down. That's not the American way. That's not the American military, I know. But we got to find out who made that order. We were told by the president, we've been told by everybody that they did everything they could to save those people, but we heard testimony today from the chief of mission that they were told to stand down, and that is not going to stand. We have got to get to the truth.
Congressman Gowdy, where was the president? We know he was briefed by Leon Panetta. Is there any indication the president ever inquired as to an update when our embassy was under attack and that our ambassador was in trouble? Was there ever any communication that has been confirmed, or that he just went to bed and got up and went fundraising the next day?
There was nothing brought out today by our colleagues on the other side of the aisle that would indicate what the president was doing while this 7-hour-long siege took place. So I want to be fair to him, but the simple fact is I even after 8 months, cannot tell you what the commander-in-chief was doing when our people under our flag were being murdered and under assault on a foreign land. And it's sad that a member of Congress after 8 months can't answer your question.
Now, Congressman Chaffetz, you went to Benghazi, you met with Mr. Hicks, and then apparently he was excoriated for daring to talk to you. It sounds to me like there was an attempt at obstruction. This was Hillary's chief of staff, as I understand it?
Well, it's a little bit surreal for me to hear this, but the reality is the first week of October, I did go to Libya. I didn't go to Benghazi, but I was in Tripoli. I did meet with Mr. Hicks. And we heard testimony that Mr. Hicks was coached ahead of time to not allow me to speak to 3 individuals there, including Mr. Hicks, that the State Department had sent along a babysitter or reminder to listen and take notes of everything I did, that this person, that Mr. Hicks, was then chastised by Hillary Clinton's chief of staff.
And they demanded to know what was said to you, I guess, to cover their story or to merge their stories?
I mean, the idea that a member of Congress trying to seek out the truth and they're being told not to allow that member of Congress to have an individual conversation, I mean, that's pretty stunning.
One last question, and I'll throw it out to both of you. Do you see any obstruction issues, any potential criminal issues in all of this?
Well, I'll take that only because I'm a former prosecutor. I think it's too early, and again, it's embarrassing to say that after 8 months. But we're still going through documents. We're still gaining access to documents. It's too early to make that call, Sean, but it's also this. It's too early for Jay Carney to say that was a long time ago. Jason and I watched a row of grieving parents and spouses and children, and I promise you, to them, 8 months was not a long time ago.
Yeah, well, I appreciate both of you. I got to tell you, it takes your breath away, what happened and how it was covered up. And I hope you both will continue to get to the bottom of it. Thank you both.
Thanks, John. Thank you.
But you also learned today that the line that was fed to the American people and to you and your family, that this was related to a YouTube video, was not true, that this was spontaneous, that was not true. That Ambassador Rice never talked to Mr. Hicks, that the administration changed what were the right talking points to the wrong talking points. Do you not feel there's a cover-up here? There was a cover-up?
Well, you know, this is the one thing. When I was approached by Hillary Clinton at the coming home ceremony of the bodies at Andrews Air Force Base, and she said, we're going to go out and we're going to prosecute that person that made the video, I knew that she wasn't telling the truth, and I think the whole world knows that now. And she's smarter than I am. She probably knew that well. But what I hope comes from this is we need to have political leaders that we can believe and we can trust. It shouldn't be a matter of having to weigh, well, is there a little bit of truth here or is there not? Hopefully, one of the good things that will happen is that the truth will come out.
But let me ask you.
And the people that do present evidence will give us truthful answers as well. So this is just a learning experience.
It is 8 months later, and my interpretation of this is, your son is a true American hero that was told to stand down, that disobeyed orders, and lives were saved because he put his life on the line. But yet people that could have saved him, they were told to stand down. Now, the bigger issue for me is who made that order? And number two, do you not have a sense of feeling that the government lied on purpose so that Barack Obama wouldn't have to deal with this issue so he could get reelected? Because that's what I feel about it.
There are two questions that need to be answered. One would be who, not necessarily for political reasons, but so that we can ask the person or persons who made the decision to stand down, why did you make this decision? We want a truthful answer so that this will not happen again.
What about the issue of what you were told that we now know had nothing to do with it? There was no YouTube video. There was no spontaneous demonstration. That they knew from day one what the truth was, but they altered the truth and went out on public television and public events, and they said something that was categorically false, and all the evidence shows that they knew it was false.
Okay. The whole world knows, everyone, including all the parties, know that those were false statements. Hopefully that will be a catalyst so that no more false statements are made. We need to know the truth.
We have new evidence that the State Department's Benghazi Review Board aided in this cover-up.
Hillary Clinton acted appropriately throughout this process.
We are, and I think I would point you to the Accountability Review Board and what I think I would point you to the report that they put out. I would point you to what the two heads of that board, Ambassador Pickering and Admiral Mullen, each highly praised by both sides of the aisle for their long, distinguished careers, put out in a statement this week, quote, "From the beginning of the ARB process, we had unfettered access to everyone and everything, including all the documentation we needed."
Now the cover-up continues. That was White House Press Secretary, propagandist Jay Carney, defending Hillary Clinton earlier today, but he's leaving out one key fact. Now, the former Secretary of State was never interviewed by the Benghazi Accountability Review Board that he cited. However, today we learned that she wasn't the only key player who was ignored by the board. Watch this.
Were you interviewed by the ARB?
I was not.
And you were not allowed to convey information to the board?
On the 17th, I conveyed my request to be interviewed before the board.
And so they did interview you after that?
No.
Have you ever been interviewed?
I have not.
Never. Pretty unbelievable.